So I've been thinking about how programming and the way we do things with code is fundamentally changing. And I have a few thoughts on this from coding for around 3 years with AI. When the first GPT-3 came out, I think it was like 4 years ago. Um, I knew this was like the magic moment, but this was when it was just Copilot, GitHub Copilot. A lot of people think AI is just this glorified autocomplete. It'll help you somewhere, and then some places it won't. Partially that's true, but if you actually have looked at Claude Code or Codex, those are the ones I've really tried and are my main drivers. They can one shot most things now. I've seen somebody do a one shot CRM tool for their marketing business. This fundamentally changes the way I think software is made, fundamentally changes how organizations will be structured. I have a lot of things to dive into on this, and I can't wait to show you guys. So I don't know if you guys heard of OpenClaw, formerly Moltbot, formerly Cloudbot. This is what really made me want to talk about this stuff, specifically the creator of Cloudbot. I watched a lot of interviews of what he has done and why he does the way he does. His name's Peter. He's amazing. People call him the agentic coder. I went across a certain podcast he was on, and he explained something that I really couldn't formally articulate well, but I really do agree with him. And it's this concept of closed loop systems. So what do I mean by that? This is essentially where you try to close the loop when you're developing with AI. So traditionally, when you're developing with AI, you would be in the loop of accepting and making sure the model's doing the right thing, calling the right tools. This takes it a step further of closing the loop of reviewing. You want to create a PRD or the specifications up front. This is very hard, but you try to give the AI ways it can correct itself. In my blog, I use TypeScript as an example because it's a type-safe language, so it can just run type checks and then make sure the code runs, and you get some clean code out of that iteration. There's ways you can close this loop as well of there's verifiable rewards you can put in the PRD you give it. I like to do it this way as well. There's verifiable rewards that the model is looking for when it's coding, and if it doesn't get that, it keeps on iterating to make sure it gets that. And then at the very end, you review. It completely removes the human out of the loop. Sounds scary, but this was what the world is going to come to when it comes to AI and coding. 10x engineers are now 100x engineers, and they're going to be 500x engineers as the models get better. If you were to sum this up, it would be the AI needs a success criteria to keep going until it fails, and it'll keep failing, self-healing, and then eventually give you the final output with the success criteria check marked. That is the ultimate goal here. So ultimately, I see engineers as architects now. Amazing how I can just type away something I want on a weekend and it does it. Even it can do architecture work for me of designing a whole system. I didn't even know what AWS CloudFront was. I just had my agent connected to an MCP, gave it some success criteria, and then developed it for me. Now, is there some security issues? Maybe, but those can be wrinkled out as we have more iteration. So I'm gonna play both sides here of why you wouldn't want to use this. So the closed loop system is very scary to traditional programmers because their idea of coding is understanding the code. Yes, that is correct. You want to understand the code. Future Tyler here. I want to explain another point. Effectively, this method is removing the human mainly because we have certain limitations when it comes to reading code. When you read code, you're limited to your reading words per minute. So essentially we're stripping that away. We are letting the AI go and do its thing, and then we're applying that. Fundamentally, you want the agent to complete the code before you try to understand it. You don't want to understand as it goes. You can understand it once it completes it. So now there is some bad things about this. Depends how you look at it. If your architecture is wrong, it's likely that the AI will have problems completing the architecture. It's a complete mirror of your architecture design. I like to create a PRD and review it with AI before I even give it to my coding agent, with obviously the success criteria I'm looking for. It might seem like a stretch, but the economics work out here too. From a enterprise level, economic wise, of say I'm a owner of a company, I want my code to be clean, so my agents understand it more. There's less token cost. This optimizes for that. You have these compilers, these type safe languages, very safe, very secure. You don't want to spend that many tokens on trying to figure out the code bases, legacy code bases that have a lot of stale code. And naturally, this optimizes towards that goal. I'd rather have my company have very clean code. Now, I find this very exciting and both terrifying at the same time. Exciting because these tools like this have the ability to help us create better things, but also at the same time, people don't like transitioning to newer things. Say you spend 4 years on a college degree that you now know is probably useless when you get out of college because a model can replace you. That's very scary. You don't want that. Some people might have existential crisis. I know a lot of CS majors feel me there. And then you have these traditional old programmers that are distinguished software engineers that are at these big companies, have these massive titles. They can now be automated. Maybe not so much as the individual junior contributor. Nobody's job is really safe nowadays. So I don't really have a clear answer to any of those. As it regards to job safety, I really can just put the facts out there of what I'm experiencing as a AI engineer. I hope you guys did enjoy something like this. I'm gonna try to show my face more in my videos, of just more human, I think, to show my face. So, yep, peace.